Well, hello, folks. Dave McPherson here from Barstools and Bandtalk. Another episode without this fella. So, you know what? I think it might as well just be Barstools from now on, and I'll be the Barstools part of it. I'm just teasing. Sean is actually shooting a video tonight with the Frequency, and they're very, very busy. We're really excited for them, what they're doing. My beard's all off filter. That's okay. So I'm handling this interview again by myself. No big deal. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. Here's who we're talking to tonight: a maritime female local legend in the making. Because we're so excited for this work that this lady's been doing, and she's going to talk about her upcoming albums and what she's been up to right now. And we're just really excited to bring to the show the one and only, originally from PEI, now living in Halifax with a brand new baby. Her name is Christine Campbell, and she'll be right there. There she is.
Hey,
Christine, how are you?
good. How's it going?
Very good, thank you. So I hope your ears weren't ringing. I was just kind of singing your praises before we brought you on there, that you've been busy working and with a brand new baby, not even just 2 months old.
Yeah, just over.
A little boy, that's awesome. Now, I don't know much about boys. I got 4 daughters and a grandson. I do have a grandson, but
Wow.
yeah.
4 daughters. Holy cow. I hear girls are a little harder than guys,
Oh
actually.
my Jesus, you have no idea. Well, you were a girl.
I was, but I thought I was an exception to the rule.
Yeah, all girls think that they're exception to the rule. Yeah. Shoot. Well, it got worse as the kids get a little older. I thought, hey, I got so much hand-me-downs. This is going to be a perfect situation. But you know what? At the age of 7, my youngest is like, I'm not wearing her clothes, and it went to, really?
More
So
ego. Yeah. Well,
that's
this
it.
guy's set, I think, because Blake actually has another son, my partner Blake. And so he's kind of got an older brother there. And then his brother has a brother who's just about 2 years older. And then he's also got another younger sister who was just born like a week and a half before Harley, our son, was born. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
kind of funny how he's got a big family, but I only had to do the work for one. So
So are you from a big family? You're from PEI now. Most of those families over there are pretty big.
no, my dad's family was big. I always actually talk about my dad's family being a big inspiration for me with music because he had 4 brothers, 5 sisters. And I did a lot of like kitchen party harmonies and stuff like that. My grandma and I played piano a lot. It was so inspiring and like just probably one of my biggest influences, but I was an only child. So I was really
Oh,
bummed
okay.
about that. Mom just couldn't have any more kids, unfortunately, and she always wanted them, but I was happy to have at least lots of cousins and stuff like that.
Right. Exactly. I get tons of cousins of PEI as well too. So you see, from Charlottetown. If you know any McManuses or any Glance or any, oh my gosh, what's the other name over there? There's so many names. They're probably all related to me. So
There's a
whenever I
lot.
was in Cape Breton or in BEI, I never tried to date because it's like, well, I didn't want my kids to look like the royal family. It'd be really, really
Yeah, you got to be careful not to bump into your cousin or something and do your research. But mom is actually from Jamaica.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, she's got a lot of different ancestry going on. They kind of, when she moved from Jamaica, and a lot of her family moved from Jamaica, they're very dispersed around the world now. So, like, we've got family in England and the U.S., all over the map. So, whenever we used to go on trips every summer, family vacations, actually some of my fondest memories, and it would just be like we'd always have a place to stay. So it was very diverse. And then my dad's side is more like East Coast Acadian
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But yeah, mom's got like, also she's got German in her, and I forget what else, but yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So now your partner, Blake, he plays in your band as well. Is that right?
Yes, we're actually working on a mutual project this time. So
Nice.
he used to play in the Stogies, which was like my favorite band, and Blake was my favorite musician, and we had a friendship for a very long time. And then when he became kind of a gun for hire, shortly after he had his child, Sam, um, so he basically started realizing he had to pay the bills a little bit better, and he started kind of taking the odd one-off gig outside of his band. And then I was really excited because I was like, all right, I can hire him. And we were just friends for a very long time, but then we started slowly kind of forming something. And this is the first time where we're actually mutually co-writing and producing this project. And so whenever I revamp the website, all that kind of stuff, it's going to be representative of that, of both
That's
of us
really
rather
cool.
than just me.
Okay, let's start back at the beginning then, Christine, because I mean, I watched you play probably three different times, and I think the first time I saw you was with Stone Mary, but I didn't realize you were in another band first. So the first band, so you were in PEI. You left PEI at what age?
A while ago.
Fair enough. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. So you're so your first band was called
Molotov cocktail.
okay, and from Altaf. Now, where were you playing back then?
I mean, we thought we were so awesome, and we like I played with people that were like decent little musicians first starting out and being kids and stuff. But it's funny when you come on the scene and you just think you're, awesome, and that you wait till this world gets a load of me kind of thing. And if I think back, like, I'm glad that there was a bit of recorded footage, but I don't know where it is, because we didn't know how to do sound. We didn't know how to peak or fix our levels. I was always playing like more solid state, and I'm definitely all about tubes now. And I was always wondering why my solos never cut through. They sounded so loud and fierce, and then I go and blast it on stage. You couldn't hear anything. It was just, but I still miss those days too, because we used to do originals, but also covers like Metallica and Megadeth and stuff like that. That was pretty fun. But so we would just play the odd bar or whatever. And to be honest, it was probably more band practice and parties than anything. And then Stone Mary was the next one, and that was, mainly bars and pubs, and went on a few tours, but not a ton of huge shows or anything. It
That
wasn't
was,
until
I
the
think,
solo
the
project
first
that I
time I saw you
contacted.
was in Stone Mary, and I'd heard about this chick. He said, you got to see this chick. She can sing and play at the same, like no one else. Is like, come on, right? So then she does the immigrant song. She plays the solo. It's like, come on. It's like, oh. And I watched you play. It's like, oh, that's different, right? It's like, wow. So that's a unique thing. So I mean, we have a series, and you're going to be part of this series. It's called "The Women Who Rock the Maritimes." That's what you're going to be part of, just in case you didn't know. And you truly, I mean, I'm going to tell you, like you're you're young now, but you're younger then, and it was amazing to see how you just held the crowd in captivity, and I mean, oh my God, your vocals and your guitar playing, it was just like amazing, really, truly.
Well, youth is relative, and also sometimes you have a lot more wisdom maybe in there, and it's a lot more immaturity too. I mean, back then too with Stone Mary, it was so therapeutic. I had a lot of adrenaline, which I still have it, but I've definitely calmed down over the years. Like, I used to jump in the crowd and stuff, and I almost kind of needed that, because I was like, you know. And now I'm like a much more balanced person. I meditate, I eat green smoothies, I exercise, I do all that stuff. Kind of have to do it, and I can still have a very crazy adrenaline surgy sense of energy going on sometimes. So I always need that musical bent. I always need to be able to shred a little bit, but it's a little bit more tame than it used to be.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I've come a long way as a musician. I still feel like it's like the most humbling thing, because the more you learn, the more you realize there is to learn. So you actually, like, the more you learn, the more inferior you kind of feel. But I
Right.
feel like I'm a little rusty, having taken 2 months off for the pregnancy, or for the labor parts. I gigged right up until my 9th month of pregnancy, but then
Your
it was
ninth month?
yeah, right through the first of my 9th month I was gigging, and then I had 2 months booked off that I was going to just do. Um, I was just going to do lessons, and then I was booked right at May 9th with a vengeance to continue on. And had it not been for COVID, I would have had a lot of gigs
Right.
already under my belt to get back to. Crap, I forget what my point is. I'm sure it was really, really intelligent though.
Well, you're talking
Oh,
about yeah.
crap, sorry, I remember now. It was just basically saying that I feel like I'm more of a student of guitar now. Like, I'm studying a lot of areas, and back in Stone Mary days, I was like, nothing but 70s rock, that's it, everything else sucks. Even though it kind of came off as more 80s. So I used to just kind of have a one-track mind, where now I feel like I appreciate a lot of different styles, and I'm actually like 70s rock, and 60s is always going to be my favorite, always. Like Zeppelin, Deep Purple, still my absolute faves. But I definitely like learning like country licks and different things, and just
Right
putting
on.
it all in the mix to try to like make my own sound, rather than just try to emulate things in the past.
So, is there things that you couldn't do in Stone Mary? Because I know that before we got on the show, you talked about there was kind of a need to form the Christine Campbell solo project because you had songs that you wanted to write. You couldn't have incorporated those in that band at all, or no?
No, not if you listen to the solo album, you realize they just wouldn't have worked in the Stone Mary band. And we were kind of always at 11, you know, it was
Yeah,
really
yeah,
long.
yeah.
And I think when I was doing it, I missed the quieter songs, although I still always preferred rock, no question. But I was writing those songs a lot of times kind of because I didn't really have the band to jam with at first. There was a phase where, like, if you're in a room and you have an acoustic guitar, it's really hard to write shreddy rock songs all the time. And if you're going through certain emotional bouts, which unfortunately I don't like set out to write anything sad and slow, but I do have, you know, emotional dips, and that tends to be when I get very creative. So those songs happen. At the time, I was like, I'd like to give them to somebody, but then I was like, enough people were asking me to kind of do a solo project, and since Stone Mary ended up breaking up anyway, I was actually going to do a simultaneous project, but I ended up just kind of going solo for a while, which was kind of funny too, because people who didn't know Stone Mary just thought that that was who I was, this solo acoustic piano playing, classical piano playing person. And then people that knew Stone Mary, it was like two dichotomies of who I am. And when people saw the CD covers even side by side, it was just really confusing. So
Mm,
it did help,
yeah.
or it didn't help me brand an image very well, because nobody knew who I was and who was doing what, to be honest.
Okay, that's a fair question because that's kind of where I was segueing to. So who do you see yourself now then? Like what is Christine Campbell's brand as of 2020? A mom, obviously, but what else?
I think I'm just a little bit more chill, and I'm not really trying so hard to be um, trying to like figure out what I should be or who I should be, and then try to live up to that person. I'm just kind of trying to chisel out from the marble that I am right now. And I mean, I know for my biggest influences, like I say, they're always going to be old school rock, which is very blues based. So the blues band that Blake and I, it's not a blues band by purist standards, but by today's standards, I think a lot of people refer to us as blues. So that's kind of our market. It's a little bit more R&B and rock, I would say, but it's just kind of like wherever the songs take us is who I am, and that's gonna probably shift and change all the time. And whatever, like, you know, the clothes that you love don't always look good on you. You kind of just go for what works or what feels comfortable or what's you right now. And I feel like I've worn a million different masks trying to figure out who I am. And now over the last few years, I'm just kind of like settling into to who I am, but I still don't totally know who that is.
Okay, well, what's Blake's thought on the whole thing now? Because he's your partner in crime for this next project, right? For the collaboration, anyhow. So, like, who is he to you? Like, what's his influences?
Well, we're kind of, I always feel like we're the same species, and we're like an alien species that is not anybody else, but we're the opposite of each other within that race of species. And we butt heads a lot, but I always call him like the yang to my yin, because I feel like we're almost like a tug of war to get like a balance between us that seems to work really well. For me, I always wanted somebody with some raspy chops vocally and some mad guitar skills. Like, he is definitely one of the best guitar players to me, because he's the most tasteful. He knows how to put it together. He might
Yeah,
not be like the best in one particular area of guitar, but he knows how to learn a little bit of everything and put it together and spin it
yeah,
really cool. Um, but I mean, like, both of us are old souls. There's no question there.
yeah.
We're both heavily inspired by old music, like Stonesy, bluesy stuff, and it just comes out naturally. And I feel like instead of forcing something, we've kind of just been chipping away, like getting rid of the layers and just letting who we are kind of erupt on its own.
Well,
So,
I'm going to tell you that folks I talked to, and what I witnessed myself, my own, with watching your performance, is that people love who Christine Campbell is. And like, so you've got a great following, and it's kind of cool to be a great player, and it's kind of cool to be a great singer, but if you can be a great songwriter, that's what the maritime music scene needs. Is more great songwriters, and that's where I give you props because I mean you're a great songwriter.
well, I appreciate that. Especially because, like, again, like, I know it's a very humbling field. Whereas first it was like, you know, I had a puff in my chest a little bit at the beginning, and then over time you start to kind of second guess yourself. And as the business side picks up, because I'm proud of myself and I actually do have a lot of confidence, but there's always a part of the day where that can take dips, because you think of where you'd like to be, or where you would, as a songwriter more than anything, as a serious songwriter. Um, And so I feel like with the business side, especially this day and age where you really are like an entrepreneur, it's really hard to be in creative mode and business mode. Like taxes and advancing shows and contracts and booking and band practice and a vision and grant, and like it never ends, and you got to be on top of it constantly on social media. And
Yeah.
then there's the creative side where you just have to like turn everything off in this crazy digital world and then step back and then just write. And sometimes it can be a little disheartening sometimes when the business side takes over. So I've gone through some bouts of that, and I did feel like I was starting to get, well, multiple times I feel like I sometimes plateau and I feel like I can't get creative, and it's hard when you're trying to force it. But I feel like Blake and I are onto something. I feel like we're just finally starting to really tap into a new level of our sound. Like it's just starting to really make sense. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's just scratching the surface. And to be honest, having a baby is kind of renewed my love for music. Of course, I want the work, but the fact that we were forced to take some time off not only is invaluable to me for having the time to spend with my child, who I absolutely like love being around him every minute, but also I miss the music. I miss that. So I'm glad that missing is there because I want so bad to sing and play that I'm starting to sing in the shower again and do
Right
all the
on.
things that I
Okay,
had.
I get it. Yeah, I get you. I get you. I mean, you had a COVID baby. Let's be honest, you did, right? This is Harley is a COVID baby, and that's that'll be. I mean, how you gonna explain that to him when he's 15 years old? By the way, when you were born, there was a global pandemic. What's a pandemic, mom? It's like I can't explain to my kids that even now. It's like, yeah, I know you're bored, honey. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Who knows? It's hard to explain, but if anything, you've got this time now, and you're not really missing gigs because there's no gigs to have right now. I mean, are you doing? Well, let me ask you this question: Are you doing any streaming stuff at all, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still easing into work pretty much at the quickest possible rate that I can. I could have done the gigs. That's actually kind of the easy part to just go out there and play. It's all the stuff behind the scenes that's tough. And you
Mm,
don't usually get paid for logging those hours. But we did a crowdsourcing campaign for the second time for an album. This time we raised like $10,000, which after fees and taxes and everything is closer to six. But we had savings to match that, and we're basically doing an EP recording, a 6-song recording, and we had to do t-shirts. We're in the midst of that, and like stickers and pins and all that fun stuff, and make the CDs. We're recording the album. We have to do all that artwork and mix and master and manufacture. So we're putting that all together. There's a lot of stuff, red tape to kind of go through for that release, which
right.
likely won't really have a lot of dates to be paired with when we release it. That's kind of an interesting thing. We were booked right up to October, but everything was canceled because of COVID. However, I am rebooking some. I'm in the works with rebooking some shows at a lower capacity. And we just streamed a show yesterday. Rock the Atlantic was one of the festivals that actually didn't cancel, but just did an online stream instead.
Okay.
So last night we did a show for an hour. We had a couple people reach out about doing some online videos for projects that they're doing, and getting the album underway obviously is a lot of work. But rebooking, I'm doing taxes right now, and we're really trying to figure out other things too. Like eventually, our goal is to have a studio, so we're slowly building that and figuring out how to do sound. When we did our stream yesterday, we're kind of going through that. So it's a never-ending process that's really fun, that you have to remind yourself is fun because it's never ending and you can
Right.
always be doing something. You're never like, hey, I finished my work today, clock out, and then have a beer and then just chill. Like there's
Yeah.
always like, I should do this or that, and it's tough to organize. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, yeah, I'm really proud of you, Christine, because you're doing what you wanted to do. You're following your dreams. It's not, and you're right. And I'm what I'm super proud of to hear your business sense about the whole thing, that you're taking it seriously like a business, because it is absolutely a business. It's not just the record company's going to hand you a bunch of money anymore. That doesn't happen. It's now it's you got to get your tunes on iTunes, you got to get your tunes on Spotify, you got to get your videos out, you got to be able to tour, you got to get the merchandise, you got to make a hard copy CD because you could maybe make some money off that. I mean, the streams of revenue have changed so much from the 70s that the I guess the idealistic world that we lived in that we wanted to emulate, to get a jet plane like Led Zeppelin did, that doesn't happen anymore. The record companies aren't going to give you a jet plane. You know what I mean? So it's
Well, and they
good.
also, it's like it's a loan, so you have to really thrive, or they could even bench you if they want to. So That was something I was always weary of from the beginning. Whenever after Stone Mary, I've been pretty open about it, but I kind of hit a rock bottom, like mentally. I just felt I finished my degree, my honors in psychology, and spent a ton of money on that. And then I realized, like, this is not for me. Like, I valued the knowledge. I loved going to school, but I didn't want to pursue that field at all. Like, I realized I needed music. And that realization came to me after the band broke up and I kind of didn't have any hope for it anymore. So once I kind of went through that realization, I started getting all these opportunities. I started actually getting paid to play, and I went out on trips to Nashville. I got to open for a lot of cool people, obviously. Um,
It's okay to drop some names. Go ahead, drop some names.
Bob Seger and Britton Cummings, and like there's a ton of people that I was very fortunate was super cool. But also I was often encouraged to like go move to Nashville or do certain things, and I wanted to be on the East Coast, and I wanted to build. I still wish I could make a bit more time to go and try to write the hit, like take that time and get my writing muscle up to snuff.
Right.
But for me, the most important thing, which was less glamorous and hard to convey to some people, is that if I wasn't constantly at least building my small business here, if I don't write the hit, I need something to come back to, because
Right on.
one thing that is vital to my mentality is that I need to always play music. So there's a way to make a living this day and age where you don't have to be the starving artist or the huge superstar entertainer that's got like 10 gold albums. You can actually live in between. I would still love to write that hit. Maybe it'll even still happen, but I want to make sure that I've got something in between that I can slowly grow over time. And this day and age, you get your super fans and the interactivity of having people vote for you to open for people or donate money to your album campaign, and like there's a lot of things you can do just to thrive. You could do any other business you want, but why not do it the way that you left? Anyway, I'm blabbing a lot here.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying, because I mean your story, and again, there's a generation between you and I, but it isn't that much different, because it's the same thing that we're talking to do with every musician we've talked to, whether it be Bruce Wheaton and Sam Moon, whether it be Andre Pettipas or Riley Murphy, whether it be Ghetto Sox. We're talking to a lot of different people from a lot of different genres of music, and they all have that same itch, and you can't lose it. It's just in your skin. You're an entertainer, and if you're not entertaining, then you're regretting whatever you're doing. And I just give you props for doing what you're doing, because you know, like, it's not just me. Obviously, you have a huge following. People love Christine Campbell, you know, and it's you're writing good songs, and you're on the cusp. Like, don't you dare stop doing what you're doing. Like, don't do it, because you're on the cusp. You are, you know, for sure.
Well, I feel like our followers are like our family. Like it's not
That's right.
a crazy big following, but it's decent enough, and they're all super fans that seem to like really go above and beyond to try to help us thrive as musicians and get to the next level. So yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm super appreciative of that, and it's really good for the archives that way. And I found too, like, it's my whole life growing up, like I idolized all these rock stars that just got trashed and then trashed
Yeah.
hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff, and I made lots of money and lived that lifestyle. And so for like most of my life growing up from a very early age, like I totally idealized that lifestyle, which is not what it's about. And it took a really long time for me to get rid of that mindset. And I feel like this day and age, that's happening to a lot of people. I still want to like, once in a while drink like a sailor, once in a blue moon, but I don't want that to affect my music. I'd rather be sober on stage most times and respectful and share a positive energy. Whereas before it was just, I don't know how really to describe how I was before. Maybe I was kind of a negative person, not a bad one, but and then I hit a rock bottom, and I feel like then I could only get through the days by playing guitar like 10 hours a day for
Wow.
a phase, and that slowly made me feel like good and balanced, and I could see things more clearly, and I feel like that's when I kind of shifted my mentality around a lot. So I realized whatever I do, more than money or fame or anything, I just have to ensure that I can play guitar for a living and sing, and write, do
That's
music.
really cool. That's really cool, especially with a lady who's got a psychology degree. I mean, it's the fact that you went this route. It, to me, just is evident that you're serious about it. That it's not just a hobby. Like you treat this as a business, and it's your lifestyle. You know what I mean? And it's cool that you have a partner and now a little baby who who's going to grow up in that same environment, who's going to have the same respect for your decisions.
Hope so.
Yeah, well, if not, they leave when they're 18, they come back when they're 20, 22, 25, 27, 20, 30, and 31. Then they eventually leave for good. So,
Might rebel and be like a rocket scientist or something. Because
well,
I don't know how else do you rebel against two guitar playing parents.
okay, let's talk about your band for a second. So we know about Blake. So Blake is you guys share a guitar, or what do you do? Do you share
Um,
your guitar? Like, you have a full band and then like a duo kind of thing, or how does it work?
yeah, we do a duo, acoustic duo, and then we
Okay.
have a full 5-piece band. And we've got like our usual main 5-piece band with Pete Davison, Cirque. I say Cirque from Turkey. It's easier just to remember it that way.
Okay.
And Shaky White, our bass player, and then a lot of times we have our other members, Ian Bennett and Jason Ketty, who we call Ketty. And
Okay.
then Pete just switches roles because Pete, who plays keys, used to play drums, and even once he's played bass for us, and he plays harmonica sometimes and backup. He's great. They're all great. We really pride ourselves in the musicians that we play with. But this day and age too, like especially if you're a full-time musician, you have to be able to get work wherever you can get it. And we can't afford to have a band full-time. So
Yeah.
the acoustic has been our bread and butter, and we can't always get the same band every time, which is kind of cool anyway because everybody brings like a different set of skills to the table. But the goal is to play primarily in a band. Both Blake and I prefer electric guitar, and just it would be fun to have a dynamic that kind of had a little bit of both of everything. Like you could bring it down, kind of Zeppelin-esque, have the acoustic and bring it back up,
Right
and
on.
all that stuff. But that's kind of the ultimate dream, and to have a studio along with it. This day and age, we're kind of slowly building up the layers so that we can kind of record our own music and afford to record it and not have to raise money every time and save money every time, but have a little bit of that at our disposal. So
That's really cool. I'm not going to keep you too much longer because I know you have a new baby and stuff like that. But I have a couple more questions for you. Now, it's funny because Sean and I have talked about this, and this is new to me because, again, in the 80s when we were playing, it's like you had a band, you had 5 guys in your band or 4 guys in your band. That was your brothers. You traveled. You were on the road 50 to 52 weeks. That's what you did for a living. It was only those 4 guys or 5 guys. Today, and we've had Leith Fleming Smith on there. We've had Andrew Lloyd that we talked to, and we've had Wakal Bujo did the same thing, and it seems so bizarre that the mainstream now is you can have multiple bands, and to me it didn't make sense. Now Sean's used to it, Sean McKenna's he's used to it, he sees it all the time, where whoever's in town will be their guitar player. I was like, well, how does that work? He's like, but they're just that versatile that they can jump in anywhere, and that's what I guess you have.
I will say this though, like, and I'm sure that I'm a little bit of a slave driver at the beginning, because I like a tight band. Like I like a
Yeah.
tight band that jams. That's what Blake and I always say. But we don't want to just go out and jam a blues tune. We want to have like moments and like
Yeah.
stops and punches and um yeah, we just want to have like good tight harmonies. Like the tightness is really important to me. So for us, it took us like a little while, especially each time you have a new bunch of tunes to do before they're obsolete again. You want to get everybody tight. You want your backup band to be tight. So
Right.
for me, I really like a tight, solid band. And then you go out and you kind of deviate from that. You can rip a solo a little bit differently, or
That's
add
right.
a moment, or do a little side jam, or sing a little differently. But so I do miss that. Like I wish we could go out for a year and just with the band. I mean, that would be the ultimate goal. I want to tour constantly and just get super tight, like with a band. We're
Yeah.
a little bit more tight acoustically because that's what we do regularly. But yeah, so I am envious of those days because of that. But I try to look at the pros of today, and that's the fact that you're not dependent on a band. So I can
Right.
like I still do solo shows the odd time. I can always play music for a living on my own. I can always practice to some degree or write or do things independently. I'm never completely dependent on others for that. And because I do a lot of different things, I'm also able to stay closer to the Maritimes and
Yeah.
survive and not just have the same bag of tricks every time, because I can do an acoustic solo show or a duo show or a 5-piece band, and it can be a little bit more rock based, or it can, it can vary. And this day and age, you need that. There's a lot more information at our fingertips. Which is kind of hard too, because you're expected to be your own sound guy. You're expected to be your own publicist. And every day exponentially, that information is becoming more free. So you have to stay in touch with it. So again, it's good and bad. You get more control over it, more of a global portal, so that if a label doesn't pick you up, you're not just benched. But at the same time, I am envious of a time where you were able to just go out and just constantly gig and just get super good at your
Yeah.
crafts, because
Yeah.
there's no practice like playing live shows.
No, it's true. But it's changed. It's fair to say, like, and this is a common denominator that we talk to with a lot of folks. It has changed now with this COVID thing, this bullshit. We're not even sure where it's going to go from
I
here.
almost
So,
did it like 3 times, and I just wasn't sure if we were able to. I was like, you should.
oh yeah, it's a fucking safe place. You can say whatever. There's no censors. There's no one that can say yes or no.
Now it sounds like a.
No, darling. There's no 3 second delay. No, give her whatever it is. It is. It's a safe place. But yeah, it's changed. It's fair to say that this is a different industry going forward. I think we're going to have to use technology. And Sean and I have talked about this a few times too, where you might have a live Saturday night, but you might be streaming Friday night. Maybe that's the new normal. And maybe you put a virtual tip jar out, or maybe there's the super fans that you talked about that'll help promote you. But if you want to do this as a full-time musician, there's got to be new streams of income, and we're not sure what it's going to be, because I mean, we can't necessarily rely on the bars, because I mean, a lot of these bars aren't going to make it, unfortunately.
Well, it was kind of the way of the direction of the world anyway, in a sense. Like, I always look at the projection of things, and that's how I just got that mindset where sometimes I go a little too far into the future, but I just can't help but see the way that things are headed. You know what I mean? And I mean, CD sales went out with new cars not playing CDs anymore. Like, that just went down the tube. People still want to support you. They still want to buy your merch, but it's hard for them to buy CDs if they don't have a CD player.
That's right.
And a lot of people, like, it's your videos that really matter. That's something I'm still a little bit behind in. Blake and I both really need to update our YouTube channel. Like, we're really slow in that. Our live show is kind of our stronger point, and being in the crowd, but we do need, and we're working on that. So hopefully we'll change that, because it's all about the video now. It doesn't matter if it's a snippet or of somebody just in the crowd taping it, or you doing it. And that's part of what we're hoping to do in our studio too, is eventually build a place where we can, like, record professional videos that can capture our essence, because that's where everybody looks, and everybody's got a short attention span for 10 seconds that you can
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
please them, and then hopefully they'll give you a gig or whatnot. But I mean, this has kind of jump started that crash course. We had to learn how to stream, and Blake
Yeah.
and I looked like fools yesterday, because I said we're old souls, like, with technology as well as music, and we're just like trying to figure this out. But the sooner we do it, the sooner we'll be able to ride the wave, because you can't fight the current, or you'll drown. So
Things are changing, and if you don't change, then you're going to be left behind. We know that. I mean, behind me is seriously 7 pieces of Bristol board from the dollar store taped together with a cool picture that my our executive assistant Marnie Farron made up in Calgary and sent it to me. So that's why I get them. But you know what? I had to learn. I didn't. I was like, I want to have a cool background, so I can't paint one. So you got to learn and do all this stuff. But it's a full-time friggin' job. Like, I'm wondering how, like, and you're a brand new mom with a 2-month-old baby, to keep on top of social media. I work for 8 hours a day, and then work on this website another 10 hours a day. It's like, and I sleep when I'm dead, I guess. It's
still
bizarre.
expensive. It's still expensive to, like, fix up your website or do the things that you're not equipped to do yet. It can take like a week to do what somebody else can do in a day.
Yeah.
But two things, like, I think one, I do think there will be a silver lining of COVID once the dust settles. I think there'll be a resurgence of appreciation for live music. I think
Absolutely.
where it was just constantly headed in this direction, I think people are gonna, like, really value what they were missing. And I think also the online presence, it's good for us because we learn that. But also, being a new mom, a big part of why I decided to take this leap was because of my parents being very supportive, and eventually, they'll make their way over at some point, and they're gonna help me, out with by being, nannies. We've got a lot of family support too.
Right on.
Blake's mom, sorry, is very supportive, and people around us, because there's no way 2 full-time musicians can commit to that without having it take a toll on their career. So that was always the plan, is that a really strong support system, which I can't really reap the benefits of yet during COVID, because my mom's stuck in PEI and Sin, and my dad, both my parents really are dying to meet little Harley.
I
So
haven't met him yet.
No, they're in
Oh, what
PEI.
a sin! Oh my
Yeah.
God, what a sin!
My
Oh,
mom
oh,
has bugged the hell out of me my whole life, like a sitcom style of trying to get me to have kids. And I never wanted kids, never. Up until just 2 years ago, a switch went off, and I finally go and give her a grandbaby like during a world pandemic. So it's just like me
what
to
a
pick that
sin!
kind of thing.
What
But
a sin!
it is also weird. It's kind of a little bit like a maternity leave. It's a weirdly timed pandemic with my pregnancy.
Well, for you especially, but listen, Christine, I'm not going to keep you longer, darling, because I know you got stuff to do. I can't thank you enough for being on the show. We're going to have you back here probably in the next couple of months because I know you have some big news coming up with that album, and I can't wait to hear the album. Uh, we're big supporters of what you do here for sure, and through Barstools and Bandtalk, and bounce around the site. You're going to hear some cool stuff from some cool people, and you're a cool person. I really appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations as a new mom to you and Blake, say for little Harley. And that's awesome. The cool name, by the way, too. Um, I feel for your mom and dad. I do. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not getting to see my daughter lives, my oldest daughter has I'm a grandfather now. They're downtown Dartmouth, and she's not, and she's right. She's right to do this. It's the whole, virtual hugs and that kind of stuff. But I drive down by sometimes, look over the fence and wave to him, hi Jackson, hi Jackson. But I can't wait to hug him again. I just, that kind of stuff is hard to, it's hard to explain why we
It's very
can't do that.
unlikely that I'm ever gonna do this again. Like this is probably a one-shot deal. As much as it's like the best thing I've ever done, but yeah, I feel bad because it's over 2 months, and I mean I'm hoping the borders open in July so they can make it up here, because then that'll still be 3 months. And I've been Skyping with them every day, or not Skyping, FaceTiming with them every day. But
Right
and he's
on.
growing like a weed, so I hope it hurries up.
Awesome.
Oh, and also anybody who wants to check out information further on us, go to ChristineCampbellMusic.com. And on Facebook, Instagram, Blake and I are usually pretty interactive. So like, yeah, just might as well jump on the bandwagon and
You stole my thunder. I was going to go right there. Christine, where can people hear more about you? But there it is.
I used to always forget, so now I remember.
No, no, and we want to promote what you do. Like I said, you're an important part of the maritime music history, and we love what you're doing. We love what you've done, and I know you have a brilliant, bright future ahead of you for sure.
Thank you.
Well, again, folks, for Christine Campbell, we appreciate her, and to Blake and to little Harley, like I said, all the best. Stay safe. We're going to get. I agree with you 100%. We're going to get through this with flying colors. It'll be a newer, better world, new normal, whatever the fuck that is, but it'll be good, and we're going to get through it for sure.
Somehow, and then on the other side, there'll be some good. I'm not dismissing the bad, but good things will come too.
Please check her out. She's a brilliant, brilliant songwriter and a very important part of music history. So, thank you so much, Christine, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you take care. All right.
Cheers.
All right, peace out.